Hello, everyone. I'm Carlton T. Clay. Right now, I am blessed to have one of the stars of the hit series, Sweet Life Los Angeles, Jerrold Smith II. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to talk with us. We definitely appreciate it. Now, let's get into it. Tell us a little bit about yourself, like just a little brief summary about who Jerrold Smith II is.
Oh man, born and raised in LA. At my core, I'm a son, a brother, a friend, a fiance to my current fiance. I'm I'm a man of many trades. If that kind of sums it up, I really don't like putting one particular label on myself because I feel like there's multiple things to be done in this lifetime, multiple things that I have already done in this lifetime, and way more that can be done. So.
Yeah, that sounds good. That definitely sounds good. Now, you did play for the UCLA men's basketball team when you was in college. What position did you play, by the way?
I played point guard.
Okay. Okay. And how was
Yeah.
that experience playing college ball?
It was amazing, man. It was amazing. I mean, you get maybe, I think it's what, 300 something Division I schools, only so many actual colleges that have, basketball programs, and then only 14 to 15 guys a year can say that they're a part of a particular program. Let alone some place as historic as UCLA. I'm extremely grateful for my time there. I owe a lot of my success after college to a lot of the folks that I met during my time there. It's an experience like no other, man. If I could go back and do it all over again, I'd do it in a heartbeat. Even given everything that I've done since then, it's the adrenaline rush, the feeling of being in the locker room, and having the camaraderie with those guys on a roster. Building and developing as a person, being able to establish leadership skills and take direction from the great coaches that I had during my time at UCLA. I really don't know how to put it into words. It's unless you experience it, man. It's there's nothing like a Thursday night in Poly Pavilion when somebody like Lonzo Ball hits a game-winning shot and the crowd literally erupts, and you have a front row seat, to be able to watch stuff like that happen. I don't know how else to put it into words.
Hey, that's amazing. That's amazing. Now, I read one of your interviews where you talked about how you realized that after playing ball that you were not going to play professional basketball, and you were talking about how you had to pivot. Can we discuss the pivot? Because a lot of times in life, we're afraid to make that change. Sometimes life happens, or like I said, our passions change. Discuss that pivotal moment for you when you realize, hey, I gotta make a switch.
Yeah, I think as individuals, we're told that 10,000 hours of time that you put in is the amount of time. Practice makes perfect. So the more that you work at something, the better that you'll get, and the better that you get, that becomes your thing, right? And I spent so much of my life focused on playing basketball to get me to the point of playing Division I college basketball. And you start to realize that those guys that are going to go to that next level really separate themselves there. Obviously, I could have went and played somewhere. I don't think that that's where my passion lied, was playing over. I have a lot of friends that still play overseas that aren't in the NBA. I don't think that was a route that was good for me, and I think that nobody really talks to us or teaches us about figuring out what's next whenever you decide that you want to jump into something else that may not be serving you at that time, but that you feel like could be what you want to move into. And I struggled with it a lot. It was a self-reflection point for me in my life at that time, like figuring out. I didn't know how to do anything else other than play basketball and be me. And I had to get comfortable enough with being me to figure out, okay, internally, what does that next step look like for me, and how can I take the skills that I've learned in these 20 some years that I spent perfecting my craft of basketball and putting it into, figuring out what that next step is going to be.
Yeah, that's some good stuff, man. That's definitely some good stuff. Thank you for sharing that with us. Now, we got to hop into it. We got to get into Sweet Life Los Angeles. Definitely, a lot of people know you from that show. Now, how did you get started? Like, how did you get casted on the show?
Oh man, they were looking for individuals like myself, young, black, creative, entrepreneurial, headstrong, that were born and raised in LA. And I remember they were going through the casting process. A friend of mine actually had interviewed, and Jordan, who ended up being on the show with us. He'd actually interviewed, and they were looking for, just more people like us, like him. They were asking if he had friends to suggest. I'm thankful and very grateful that he suggested me for the opportunity. And then we kind of ran with it from there. But it was, it was one of those things where you kind of manifest. We used to say in college, somebody got to put us on TV, like all this really cool stuff that we're doing, all of these really big plans that we have, like somebody deserves to see us do these things. Or I feel like I deserved to see myself do those things on that level. Yeah, just, right place, right time. Things, all grace to God. Things end up happening the way they end up happening.
Yeah, and so your fiance, Cheryl, she's also on the show. Did y'all have that conversation about putting your relationship on television? Because, you know how people say about reality TV and relationships, that can be a little murky. Did y'all have that conversation beforehand?
Of course, of course. Cheryl specifically, it took some convincing for her to be down with it from the jump. Not even from a relationship standpoint, but just the type of people that we are or were before the show was that we put our head down, we work hard, and we kind of stay within ourselves, and what's for us is for us, and we kind of live within that. There was a really deep conversation that we had to have about the benefits of being of an opportunity like this, not just for us in a relationship, but for us as individuals. Cheryl is a brand owner, she's a fashion designer. The visibility behind that for her brand was something that is too great to pass up. And even then, from the relationship aspect, I don't know, like, I know that they're out there, but I don't know very many couples like us that have been together for as long as we've been together. And I've had some really great role models as far as relationships, especially looking at my parents who've been married for 30 years now, grandparents, and aunts, uncles who've been married. And really, it was really important that I was able to use this platform to showcase that love is still real, love is still out there, and it exists, if not anywhere else, within me and Cheryl. And that was the conversation that we had, is that no matter what it is that we're putting out there on screen, what the world's going to know is that I love this girl, and I wouldn't want to take on an opportunity like this without her by my side.
Well, I just want to say that you two were definitely my favorite watching the show. I came on the show late. My sister actually put me on, and she was like, hey, you got to watch Sweet Life. I was like, I'm not watching another reality TV show. I'm not doing it. And then I ended up watching it, and I binge watched the entire thing, and immediately I said, Jerrold and Cheryl, that's it. They are my favorites on the show. So thank you guys for being that example. I think that's awesome. And it's amazing to see young people displaying that type of love and that commitment. So that's awesome. So congratulations on that engagement as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And thank you for watching. We don't get the opportunity to do 2 seasons of that show without, individuals like yourself who were supporting us from near and far. So thank you so much.
No problem, no problem. Now, how did reality TV change your life?
Oh, very loaded question. Reality TV changed my life in a way that it forced me to start looking at myself as the brand, right? As some of us who work within specific industries, we either work for a brand or we work to promote a brand. After being on a reality TV show, the brand became myself. It became, how do I amplify everything that I'm doing? Even with the show being canceled now, how do I continue to find what's next for me and build upon everything that the show was able to give me? So it forced me to look upon myself as a brand. It also forced me to in building that brand that is myself, it forced me to take a step back and really just live and enjoy the moment. The reality of reality TV is that it's real and it's for that moment. And even though it still lives on, you can still go stream it right now. That was a specific point in my life that, not only did viewers get to see, but that was me living in real time on screen. And it forced me to kind of stop, take a step back, and really just enjoy the moment of what we had with the show.
That's good, man. I'm going to admit my 3 favorite scenes. I got to talk to you about my 3 favorite scenes from Jerrold. So here they go.
Okay.
The first scene was at Bree's lingerie party when old dude was being disrespectful and talking to Cheryl. I loved how you slid in there. That to me, I rewinded and watched it again. I thought that was amazing. I love that scene. That's my first favorite scene. My second favorite scene, of course, is at the end of this, well, now series finale, when they showed your proposal to Cheryl. I thought that was awesome. And my third favorite scene was from season 1 when you guys had the podcast scene, before things went left.
Yeah.
Before all that, the madness happened. But when we actually got to see African American men really sharing their feelings, sharing their emotions, actually talking about the traumas and different things that you guys go through mentally, well, that we go through mentally, and different things like that. So that was amazing to see. I really wanted to just let you know, highlight those are my 3 favorite things. Now, besides Cheryl, of course, who else do you talk to from the show?
Everybody.
Okay.
Everybody. The beauty of that show is that everyone that you saw on screen, those are my friends in real life. I've known Jordan since high school. I've known Tylin since high school. I've known Kofi since elementary school, since literally the 3rd grade. Bree and Rebecca are folks that I've met more recently, but even since then we're locked in. Amanda since high school. Rob more recently through Amanda, but those are all my friends in real life. So PJ, for forever. Me and PJ's cousin went to elementary school together, and I met PJ a really long time ago. And we all have our own things going on in life, but like those are my friends for real.
Good. That's good to hear. Definitely, for sure. Now, you did mention about the show being canceled. That's so unfortunate. But if things were to change, because stuff happens all the time in entertainment, if things were to change and they would say, hey, we're going to bring you guys back for season 3, would you be down to do that?
Of course. Absolutely. I feel like there's so much that we the point that we left off at, there's so much more that needs to be said. There's so much that we've done since that point. I think that was, around this time last year, we were preparing for season 2 to come out. So in a year's time, there's so much stuff that's happened. Me and Cheryl are engaged in planning a wedding. All of the new projects that I'm working on top of the other stuff that I'm working on, all the new brand campaigns that we've all been featured in, not just me. So absolutely, 100%.
Awesome. Now, we also have to talk about your podcast that you have, Basketball Adjacent. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, that was a podcast that I created. Kind of what you touched on with one of your first questions was after college, realizing that I had spent, and before I realized I wanted to get into entertainment, I had spent 22 years of my life of playing basketball since I was 2 years old. 22 years of my life perfecting that craft, and everyone's dream is to make it to the NBA. But when that ball stops bouncing, figuring out what that next step looked like for me was probably one of the toughest points in my life. I never feel like there's anything that I can't do, but also the main thing that I was good at and did for so long was play basketball. So it was an adjustment period for me. And I didn't want anyone else who was, in the process of transitioning careers or, stopping playing a sport, or even wanting to, get into the world of sports and entertainment, but not necessarily through the actual avenue of playing that sport. I didn't want anyone to ever feel like they lacked the resources to figure out what else was out there for them, or find that next step. So I created Basketball Adjacent to talk about all the opportunities that basketball afforded me that were adjacent to basketball. The career that I ended up going into is still very much so connected to basketball. In entertainment, I interact with, athletes, agents, managers 24/7 all the time. There's behind the scenes stuff with brands. I work with brands 24/7 all day, every day, who are also working with athletes, agents, managers, and people don't really understand a lot of the time how most of these things and careers are connected. And I just, wanted people to feel like they had an outlet to where it was simple enough or easy enough to learn about some of the stuff that was out there.
Sounds good. Now, you did mention you had some other things that you are working on. Can you tell us about some of that stuff? Can you give us a little clue, just a little hint?
A little bit. I'm very content focused right now. One of the things that Sweet Life and working with Issa Rae in general has taught me is that nobody's going to tell our stories if not for us sitting down and taking the time to tell them. So I'm, that's what I'm looking to do. I'm hopefully going to do more of the Basketball Adjacent podcast, just because of how important that was for me and how important I've learned it was for the audience of the show. Developing, some other podcast shows, maybe with some of my castmates, talking about some of the things that we've experienced since being on reality TV and some of the things that we experience in culture just, as people living in this time, this day and age, with the voices and platforms that we have. And then, other TV projects. I'm a full-time, actor and host. So I'm hosting digital content for multiple platforms. I'm, actively auditioning for scripted roles, other TV shows. So, just making it do what it do.
I hear you. That's what's up. Now, if people want to follow your journey, keep up with what you got going on, how can they do so?
They can follow me on all platforms at Jerrold H. Timms. That's Smith backwards. JerroldHtims.
Awesome. All right, Jerrold, thank you so much for joining us. We definitely appreciate you. Thank you so much for your time, and best wishes to all that you have going on.
Man, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you for this platform. I'm wishing you all the best in your continued endeavors. Thank you. Thank you.
No problem. No problem. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for joining us here. I'm Carlton C. Clay. This is WJBF Digital. Have a good one.